Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we'll be doing the Orlando Magic Charlotte Hornets play-in preview prediction. I want to hear your thoughts down below. Who do you guys think is going to win? Outlook, projection, expectations, everything in between. I want to hear those thoughts. And hit that like and subscribe button. It'll help out the channel a ton as we are on our way to 20,000 subscribers. And I can't get there without your guys' help. So, in a game that will decide the 8th seed, it's definitely an interesting one. And Charlotte arrives in this final playing game after surviving a 127-126 overtime win over Miami, advancing out of the 9-10 elimination matchup. That results matter. Charlotte already faced a win and go home pressure and executed late, leaning on its offensive creation, some defense and depth. Orlando, meanwhile, enters off a loss to Philadelphia, missing its first opportunity to secure the number 7 seed, and now facing immediate elimination for the 8th spot. From a season-long perspective, Charlotte's profile outpaces its seeding. The Hornets finished 44-38, but posted a 8th best +5 net rating, and they played really well. Orlando held the 8th seed, and I think they kind of ended the year on a sour note. Charlotte plays at a slow pace, 26th, and relies on three-point shooting and their guys to create, while Orlando is reliant on their size. So we're going to talk about both teams. If you just want to skip to the end, you can just hear who I think is going to win. Charlotte's case is built on their shooting. The Hornets rank 5th in offensive rating while shooting 37.8% from 3, 82% from the free throw line, which they have this offense. We know what they want. And they generate 26.3 assists, good ball movement, and really aren't an ISO heavy team. LaMelo Ball is their guy, 20 points a game, 7 assists. His ability to create advantages early in possessions allow Charlotte to operate effectively even at the slow pace. In the Miami playing game, he delivered a 30-point, 10 assist double-double. And on the wings, they got 3 dudes who can create high-level scoring situations. 20-point per game scorer in Brandon Miller, 18.5 points and 42% from 3. Kon Knueppel, who led the NBA in 3-point made as a rookie, and Miles Bridges, 17 points per game, a guy who's a physical rim attacking scorer. They'll add some rebounding and secondary playmaking. Kon Knueppel will space the floor and stretch defenses, and Brandon Miller has kind of shown flashes of being a primary scoring option for them with just as good perimeter volume as LaMelo and Kon Knueppel. And this trio next to LaMelo gives them flexibility as they can play through Ball's creation. ISO Miller generates, looks for Kon Knueppel. You bring in their 2 centers that they go by committee. Moussa Diabaté, 63% field goal percentage and 75% field goal percentage for Ryan Kalkbrenner, who's a great drop coverage big and a good rebounder, while Moussa Diabaté is going to be like a great rebounding player who's got a great machine, or not machine, but great motor. The next exciting part, besides those 2, I think, is Coby White, who provides some downhill scoring, paint creation, or paint touches, shot creation, and instant offense. Charlotte allows 111 points per game, 7th best in the league, hold opponents to 35.9% from 3. They got a really good perimeter defensive scheme. They limit their opponents scoring while being an offensive efficient player. To me, I think the most important thing is Charlotte entering with momentum. Even though they almost lost the game, they executed in a high pressure overtime situation, stayed composed, shot making, and they've just been really solid on the season. Orlando's case is more, I think, if you look at them contextually, they are a team that they've gotten now 2 options to qualify for a playoff spot. They failed to capitalize on that first opportunity, losing to Philadelphia and falling into this elimination game. I think the things that need to be acknowledged here is Orlando had a better season. As a result, they were technically the higher seed. They're having a second opportunity to advance, and there might be a bit more of an immediate elimination urgency. So Charlotte thrived in the controlled half-court environment, while Orlando kind of introduces this volatility to offset Charlotte. So for me, I think it's interesting when you look at this team because of what needs to be done. Yeah, so do I think Orlando is looking at a team that, yeah, they create a bunch of possessions. They're 12th, and they're noticeably faster than Charlotte. They've got a good defense, 11th in defensive rating, while allowing 115 points per game. Now, I think they do have enough shot creation, even though they're not a good offensive team, and they can create interior pressure to make this a real contest. The Magic's offense is built differently than Charlotte's. Orlando was not a high volume 3-point team. It averaged just 12 made threes per game about and shot 34% from deep. It leaned more into physical scoring, drawing free throw attempts. They're number one in the league in both free throw made and free throws attempted, 22 made and 27.5 attempted. I think that matters a lot in a single elimination setting. A team that can consistently get to the line can stabilize its offense even when perimeter shots are not falling. This team runs through Paolo Banchero, who averaged 22 points, 8.5 rebounds, 5 assists. He gives Orlando its highest usage offensive focal point and its best mismatch score. His game's especially relevant here because he creates rim pressure and free throw attempts, which fits what Orlando's offensive identity is. Desmond Bane gives the Magic a floor spacer, 20 points, 48.4% from the field, 39% from three, 90% from the free throw line. He's their most efficient high volume perimeter threat. If healthy, Orlando also has Franz Wagner, who's a great co-star as a secondary playmaking wing, 21 points almost in 34 games, 48% from the field. He adds another jumbo creator next to Banchero. Anthony Black averaged 15 points and almost 4 assists, while Jalen Suggs averaged 14 points, 5.5 assists, and almost 2 steals in 57 games. That gives Orlando multiple ball handlers and enough defensive activity in the backcourt to pressure Charlotte's creators. In the frontcourt, Wendell Carter Jr. averaged 11.8 points and 7.4 rebounds. Goga Batazde shot 67.6% off the bench. Orlando's best stretch late in the season shows why this team is still dangerous. From March 3rd through March 14th, the Magic won 7 of 8 games and beat Dallas, Minnesota, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Washington, and Miami, all in high-scoring performances. Even after a rough patch later in March, Orlando closed the regular season by winning 6 of its last 8 games before the loss at Boston, then lost the play-in opener at Philadelphia. So it's been recent mixed form lately, but they should be competitive. The concern is what I think makes them less convincing is Magic ranked just 19th in offensive rating and finished with a plus 0.6 net rating. They were also outplayed by Charlotte repeatedly in the season series, especially in the last 3 meetings. That creates a real matchup concern. Offense for Orlando relies on paint pressure and creating free throw attempts, but Charlotte's defensive scheme is better than what it was. Also, we know that health's going to play a factor. Charlotte's perimeter volume and Orlando's non-3-point shooting volume is going to be interesting because Charlotte is a team that put up 43.3 threes a night and hitting almost 38%, while Orlando shot 34% and only making 11.7. That's just a math problem. Will Banchero be able to create the free throw attempts, get downhill, draw fouls, score through contact? If he can live at the line, they can flatten Charlotte's 3-point edge. LaMelo Ball's control of tempo. When Charlotte has the ball, they're going to use LaMelo as the one responsible, and they need to make sure that he can control the pace and create clean looks. So I think if you just look at the end of this roster, it's going to be very interesting to see who will win. And honestly, when I see this team, I think there's a pretty good shot that it's going to end up being the Charlotte Hornets because just how well this roster is made. Let me hear your thoughts down below. Who do you guys think? I just think Orlando just wants Jamal Mosley out of there, and it's so evident.